Okay, I'm heading into my greenhouse now and I'm going to have a look because I'm doing a little bit of an experiment at the moment. I'll put this here and I've been doing a bit of an experiment with coir peat, and I've read a few articles, watched a few YouTube videos on sprouting potatoes, and I've seen a lot of things on sprouting potatoes with needing a bit of warmth and a bit of moisture and a bit of dark, and people talk about putting them in boxes in your cupboard, but I thought the greenhouse was a perfect place. It's nice and warm, particularly now that it's getting a little bit colder, and I'm going to have a look at what I'll make a bit of room here. Have a look to see what's happened. Now I put these in coir peat 3 weeks ago. My gosh, I can already see things coming up here. So coir peat, that's just it's a coconut fibre. It's what they used to be seen as a bit of a waste product with coconuts. It's the part, in between, the nice white hard part in the middle and the outside core. So I just put this in here. This was bought, I think I bought this from Bunnings. And that's one thing to remember when you go into Bunnings. I went into the worm farm section and had a look at the price. And then when I walked to the next aisle, to the gardening section, it was a third of the price if you buy it in the gardening section. Not sure if that camera's getting in here. Anyway, I'm going to look at these because it's 3 weeks now, and I'm going to see if it's sprouted. You can have a look in there. So I basically just put the coir peat in and then put some potatoes in. Now I bought these from Four Seasons, so because I've heard that store-bought potatoes, they have that sprouting inhibitor on them, chloropropin or something like that. But they use it for, it's basically a herbicide that's used for controlling weeds and things like onions and garlics, but they also use it with turf. And they stick it on potatoes because people don't like buying potatoes with eyes on them. Anyway, my gosh, I think this has done an amazing job. Look at that. Look at this. This is already, I'm just pulling out one potato. That's 3 weeks. Hey, I'm a bit excited about this. This is much better than, better than I've had with doing them in. They're so they've been growing so well in here. I almost can't pull them out. Look at this. Can you see that? Really sprouting really well. That's just in 3 weeks, and they're perfect just to go straight in the ground now. So I'm a bit excited about that. So you can try that as well. It's just coir peat. That was 1 block to fill this whole bucket. 1 block, and I've got these basic potatoes, organic potatoes from Four Seasons, and put them in the coir peat, and they're sprouted and they're ready to go in the ground now. So I'll put them in the garden. Okay. Oh, I can see a wallaby's going to watch me do this next video. Beautiful. Alright, I'm going to show you just how I've got my chook pen set up. That's my chook pen. It's really basic. Someone gave it to me. And just downhill, it's on a bit of a slope, and downhill from that, I've got a few fruit trees. Now those fruit trees were actually there, and I had to pick a spot for the chook pen. My dad planted those a few years ago before I actually moved down to the bottom part of the block, and so I thought, okay, if I put the chook pen in, I'll put it just uphill a little bit, so that when I clean it out, I can sort of hose it out and take advantage of all those lovely nutrients in the chook poo. So we come through here. It's a really basic setup in the chook pen. They're all, you can see them all waiting there. Sorry that it's moving around so much. But that's my chook pen coming inside, and it's just got roosts around the outside and a raised chook feed bin and some water. And I try and have my chooks, well, there's today's egg in there, but I try and have my chooks sleep on the roost, but as you can see, some of them have been sitting on top of the laying boxes. Anyway, I basically shovel out this chook pen, and I just shovel it into, well, you can see over there, there's still, from the last time I did it, about 2 weekends ago, just a bag. And I put that into my compost, and I'll show you my compost because I've just built a new one. I've always just had a compost area just sitting on the ground, but I've done something different now. But anyway, so I basically shovel it out, and then when I hose the bottom out and hose it all down, it goes in the back here onto the fruit trees. So I have just started building myself a new, this is what I did on Mother's Day morning, but Suzanne found some pallets and got some extra ones and brought some over, and then that inspired me to go and find some more. So I've put this up now and found a spot for it where it'll be near the chook pen. It's also near our back stairs that leads up to my parents' place, and we're constantly getting so many leaves off there, so we'll be able to put those in the compost. I get the chook poo from over there, and I also have my shade houses and things there and greenhouse. So this is an ideal spot, and it gets the morning sunlight. In winter, I noticed this morning that it looked lovely on there. I did pick it because it gets a little bit of sunlight, but it's good that it's getting this winter sun. And so that should be a good spot. I'm just going to line the pallets with some shade cloth. I've got some leftover dark green shade cloth because I've been experimenting with different coloured shade cloths this last season. So and I'm moving over to some other colours, and I've got a couple of dark green ones spare, so I'm going to use that to line these. Now these pallets were great to use when I put this together. They almost interlock, and then I just used hex screws. That was my Mother's Day morning putting these together, which was best Mother's Day I can think of. And yeah, so that's my setup with my chooks and my poo and my compost. Okay, I'm going to just walk around. I've got a bit of a mix of different systems happening, but this is I'll just take you to show you some of my raised beds. I've been experimenting with a few different colours of shade cloth, and this one this is doing well with the white shade cloth. You can do a bit of a Google and have a look at different plants like different coloured shade cloth. And I always had dark green shade cloth for years, and it's great when we have these sort of really long summer days. But there were certain things that I found just didn't grow really well under them. So I ended up doing a few experiments. I've tried this where you crush up your eggshells, and I don't know, I think it actually does work. They say that the moths see them, but and then think there's too many moths in there, we'll go somewhere else. And it might work, but you can see my kale's getting in at the moment, and I haven't been in here to pull them off. Anyway, so I've got a range of things growing in these raised beds. There's heaps of broccoli and cauliflower, and I just sort of experiment with a few different varieties and things. And I've planted a few more capsicum. I'm really enjoying the fresh capsicum at the moment. Now, if we come around here, I do some work in agriculture in the Pacific Islands, and I saw a couple of I saw a blog which was looking at growing things in your bananas. So I thought I'd have an experiment and have a go. Now I'm a bit excited about this because, you know, it's I hardly water these things. What I've found, well, there's two things. One is, if you don't want to go out and buy pots and spend money on pots, or you don't have pots, these banana trunks are fantastic. You can I just drilled holes into them and then planted some lettuce in them. I think I've got one here, it's a smaller one, where I've got a bit of coriander and some spring onions growing in that one there. But I found these can go a couple of days without watering. I think the water just, you know, sits in there and it holds a bit of moisture. And so I think these are better than pots that dry out and you kind of have to, when they're first growing, you've got to water them really regularly. These seem to last a few days without watering. So I'm happy with those systems. And now this is my wicking bed. Now people have different ideas about wicking beds. I mean, I can see positives and negatives about wicking beds. I actually like the raised beds where you know, the soil's coming up from the earth and you get the capacity to get the nutrients from the earth. You've got worms coming up, whatever. And with a wicking bed, that system's kind of cut off. It's disjointed because you've put this, you know, layer of gravel and then some sort of piping system. I use drainage pipe with holes in. And, you know, to have water at the bed, and it basically acts as a wick. If you have a look here, this is my inlet pipe, and I can just fill that with water and it goes into the drainage pipe that's in a kind of circle, spirals around, and it's in a gravel bed, and that fills with water. And then if the overflow is here, just overflows out of there. Now the reason I put in a wicking bed is because every Christmas, you know, I take the kids away to the beach or something for a week, and I really built this for the things that you need to water more than once a week or once every fortnight. And so I really just grow lettuce and things that are, you know, that require moisture all the time. And sometimes I, you know, because I do a bit of crop rotation, I do grow other things in here, and sometimes I leave it fallow, but I generally keep this so that in summer, you know, when we've gone away for the Christmas holidays, I come back and I've still got some lovely lettuce and maybe some beans or something for Christmas, for Christmas lunch. So it seems to have worked well. I probably wouldn't put wicking beds all through my gardens because I see it as a different type of system. Anyway, you can see at the back here, that's my worm farms. They seem to be going well. And got a simple system there. And my daughter collects the worm juice, as you can see down here. That goes on the garden beds. Okay, I'll just quickly show you. I've got a little small orchard here. A few bush lemons and some normal lemons, kaffir lime, mandarin tree, which is covered in some mould at the moment. But we tend to get a fairly good lot of fruit from here. And then you can see the banana trees in the background there. Got a few bananas growing up in here. And I probably haven't thinned out. You've got to really kind of thin out your bananas a bit, and I look at it and see a new banana pup and go, oh, I better get that out and plant it somewhere else, and then it doesn't happen. It's all a big balancing act with time, and I'm sure you'll find you've found in your garden too that there's just constant projects going, and it's what you can get done. So we tend to get a lot of fruit from this little spot here, and they're protected quite well with the bananas. And I've got a bit of cassava growing in the back there, which is growing up very high. And if I go through this back fence, I've got can show you a few pawpaw trees up there. Now, if I zoom in on that, I've already taken about 7 to 8 pawpaws off that tree in the last month. Now, I think the reason these are growing so well is this is my outlet. We seem to use a lot of water with baths, and I've got this biocycle system here, but I decided I really wanted to be able to give this little section here, the pawpaws and the fruit trees here and the bananas, some water. So I actually decided to put a diverter just under the bath, so all the rest of the water from the house goes into the biocycle, but just the bath water from the kids and the showers is comes out here on that purple pipe, grey water pipe, and that is the bath pipe that comes down in behind that pipe there. And so I just put a diverter on it, and that's the only one that I have, because I know that the water doesn't sit there. I empty it straight out from the bath and it goes directly on those plants, and it's done a treat. Well, I've got so many more pawpaws, so much more fruit on my trees, and really having healthy looking bananas since I put that grey water pipe in just from the bath. This is a teepee that my son built one weekend, and he had a great time building it, and we've had one lot of beans grow up it, and that was really exciting, and it was a fun project. And I originally had that as a bit of a small maybe a sweet potato circle or something like that, but I was using it before, and then found that this mulberry tree here got so big that I wasn't growing anything in it, so I thought, well, this is a great spot for a teepee. So he can sit in there. It's a little circle, and we grow beans around that. I probably should have mentioned before with the bananas that is a banana circle, and we just throw our leftovers and mulch. Any extra mulch just gets thrown in the middle there. So, you know, little projects around the place. That one was great. Now, I might finish off with my last project, which is kind of a big project, but this is my COVID-19 project. While we're in isolation, so when things were getting too much, I decided to come out and I asked the kids what they'd like, and you know, I don't seem to do things by halves, but anyway, this is stage 3 of 5 stages of our little mini golf course, and I'm hoping it's going to be an edible garden mini golf course. So I'm building some garden beds around the outsides, and I hope to have some little garden beds in the middle. But it's ready for some paint and then some crusher dust. I've actually put in gravel underneath, and I've put in drainage underneath it, and I've just been trying to get second-hand all of these sleepers and things. These sleepers here, I got a friend gave them when they moved house, and so I've just been collecting things up, and then away we went. So I'm hoping that if we do this again next year, I'll be able to show you an edible garden mini golf course, and that would be great.